Alright, here we go. We're going to replace some old brakes. These brakes have lost their normal springiness, and this one is too tight, and so whenever the bike rides, the brake is always on and it just does not loosen. And so we're just going to replace these old brakes. I already took the cable off. This cable kind of went through here, so I already took that off. And we start by removing these screws, which I already loosened up. And you have this plastic spring piece also that comes off. So now I've taken off the back brakes, and here we have just this mounting stud here and right here. And then I also took off the front brakes, and here you can kind of see the front brakes. We just have the mounting stud there and there. And next, what we're going to do is we are going to replace the brake levers, because these are old plastic ones that also have cracked and have there's a barrel adjuster right here with some plastic threads that have been stripped out, so these have to be replaced also. We're going to take the grips off so we can take the brake levers off. If you have a little bit of lube, you can kind of loosen it a little bit. Not too much, but spray it in there and kind of work it around. You could also shoot compressed air in there if you had compressed air. If you wanted to, you could just cut these grips right off, but we are going to try to reuse them. Okay. We're going to smear a little lube in there so it's easier to get on. Next, we just loosen this. And that slides right off. On this side, we got to get the shifters off here in order to get the brake lever off. So there's a little bolt on the underside. Here are the new brake levers. They've got this cool blue look to them. The good thing about these brake levers is that they're all metal. The threads are all metal. The levers themselves are metal. There's no plastic in there, so they're going to hold up for a very long time and be able to withstand a lot of abuse. I should have a link in the description of which brake levers these are, but these actually look pretty good. And then a new cable system and new cable housing, which that'll be linked in the description also. There, before we tighten everything, we want to put the grips on and the shifter on, get it all aligned, and then tighten everything down. You want to make sure that this cable is over the brake so it doesn't interfere with the function of the brake. And put the grip back on. Measure it. And that's kind of where we'll tighten it. Tighten this grip down. And then tighten the shifter with a little bit of grease. And we fit the brakes on. So this goes on this side. And see this little spike thing? Goes inside one of the holes there. You can put this in and adjust the brakes, and then tighten it to where it hits. So when the brakes squeeze together, it will hit the rim. The front brake is going to be the left-handed brake here. There's the round end and a kind of a barrel shaped end. This type of brake uses the barrel one. So that means we cut off the round one. There. This is called the barrel adjuster. That'll adjust the brake tension later. Now we're going to use an old casing, or you could get a new one with this orange one and just measure the exact amount and cut it to length and put new fittings on. But we're going to use the black old ones because they're still in good shape. And there's a couple different sizes, so be sure you get the right one. That goes through. It goes through like this. Put these brake screws on to hold the brake levers in place. So first, have this really loose as it'll go. Then tighten these down so the brakes are touching the rim. Tighten this barrel adjuster knot, and that'll loosen it a little bit off the rim. Okay, that's good for that front one. We'll tighten everything after we're done with the back too. Okay, first we're going to put a little bit of lube where the brake levers go on. See, this is where the brake cable is going to come on this side. So we want the brake with this metal bracket to be on the same side where the brake cable is coming through. And this little metal spring that helps control the amount of springiness on the brake lever, this metal pole is going to go in the second middle hole right there. So we're going to put that in that second hole. Okay, so that's one side, and this side is also going to go. You want to make sure that your brake pads aren't upside down. They want to follow the curve of the rim. And again, this hole, this post is going to go in the second middle hole right there. And even when they're really tight, the brake levers still move. So don't worry about getting them too tight. Now we squeeze them together. We're going to adjust where the brakes rest on the rim. So you want to kind of hold that in place and position the brake pad where it fits. So we're going to hold that in place. We're going to tighten this brake pad. Okay. Double check those are the positions. Okay, that's good. They're not dropping below the rim, and they're not hitting the tire. They're fitting right on the rim where they're supposed to be. So that's good. So again, there's two ends to the cable. There's a circle one and a barrel one. These brake levers use the barrel one, so we're going to cut the circle one off. You can line up those lines so the cable can fit all the way through. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this barrel right through here. Then we're going to lay that cable all the way through. We're going to run it through this cable housing. Make sure that this fits right in here, this little bracket. Then we have this other cable housing that fits, threads right through. And that's going to fit right in here, like that. Okay. Now we're going to run this through. This fits right through here. And you can't forget to put this little guy on there. The wide end fits right like that. Loosen this up. This is where the cable runs through. Then you kind of ease off a little bit. Now you can kind of temporarily tighten them down and just kind of see where you're at with things. And see where we're at with. You can adjust how much pullback there is. How much springiness the lever has. So what you want is you want both levers to be pulling, both levers to be moving at the same. You don't want one lever to be going like this. And you don't want them to be pulling this lever in while it's one lever is just going like this. You want them both like this, where they both squeeze equally. That's better. Now before everything is tightened, make sure the cables are all sitting in there correctly, that this cable isn't going to interfere with the wheel or with the pedals, and that's good. So just make sure everything is nice and tight now. Double check the front brakes, make sure everything is tight there. Now we're going to cut the excess cable off. So you want to leave enough, leave like 1.5 inches or so. This cable kit comes with these little caps that go on the end of the metal, the end of the wire. These little caps that go on the end of the wire so you don't poke yourself. So that goes on, crimp that wire back on so it stays on. See how you have this? You just made a little crimp and now that stays on. There. You can adjust them and then you take this middle one and you tighten that down tight so it doesn't wobble in there. That can adjust the travel of the brake levers. If you want them real tight where they brake just like this or all the way. So it's just whatever you prefer. Okay, we're good.